Hello everyone, I hope everyone's keeping well. So I'm going to talk about this, and I should have probably talked about it a while ago. But, and again, I suppose it's hard for me to admit. At the same time too, it's difficult to admit that, I'm not as fit as I used to be. Mentally or physically, and I'd be totally honest with you, I'd really be totally honest with you, because, obviously in 2020 I had a lot more strength. And obviously, 2021, particularly with Calvin Day, really physically drained me, and mentally drained me because obviously I was up for 2 days straight, and that night I couldn't get any sleep. It was draining, and I mean physically draining. And then nights before that too, and I tell you about that, but it's the most physically draining thing, I ever done. Like, it was just so physically draining. It took up, and again, it was beneficial in that way because it was very successful. But in other senses, what we did too, me and some other people, what we did on Cafe to try and get it out there. And we contacted politicians, we contacted heads of state. Unfortunately, a lot of them didn't respond, which is unfortunate. But I wrote to a few of them. I wrote to the on the Hill and the President of Ireland. Thankfully, got a response from him. But again, it wasn't huge amount. It was a good amount, maybe 400 words. Explaining, I'm sure you wouldn't have had an idea where Captain was. But I had to write that. That did take me nearly 2 hours to do that. And to check it up and everything. Like, it was so draining. I will say it straight. It was so frustrating. I was so frustrated nearly with myself. Particularly because it was up. This was around 2:30 in the morning. Me writing this. So it was very. At least, and again, at the end of the day, at least I got a response, which was the only time ever I said, a good lot of letters. I said about 50 letters in my whole life to the office of the president, asking for change in my majority of time in regards to the defence forces. Never got any response, but at least I got a response for Cavendish. So in fairness to Michael Higgins, I give him credit for that. That it was at least I got something. But and I will talk about this, but I wrote to the Finnish Prime Minister. Now I know a few Finnish diplomats in Ireland. I should have probably went and asked them, would they ask Helsinki, would they mind, and would giving us a happy calf there. But unfortunately, I wasn't thinking. I was going to directly contact the office of the Prime Minister in Finland, by email. Because if I rang them around, I wouldn't be able to understand. I don't think they understand me, or I wouldn't understand them because it's Finnish, obviously. And obviously that was extremely draining. I have to say that was the most extremely, from around 12 o'clock at night. It took me to around 5:30 in the morning to do it. I was up. I didn't get any sleep. I kept going. This is where that week before that week leading up to Calvin Day, was so physically stressful on me because it was a lot. And again, especially with dyslexia, I mean to say, it was just purely terrible. Again, having to explain every little detail and what we were trying to accomplish, what we were trying to do, what was it about, where was Calvin. It was so, and I think it ended up nearly a 2,000 to 3,000 words. And again, I had to write down. It took me from 12 o'clock at night to 5:30, nearly 6 o'clock in the morning. And I got no response, which was very important especially because I did pour my heart and soul into doing that. And obviously, I just want to thank my editor, Davey. He wrote to Jacinda Ardern, the New Zealand Prime Minister. And now we didn't get a response from her, but we got on behalf of her secretary. I suppose you could say it's from her wishing us the best on Calvin Day and everything like that, which is very, very good. At least they had the decency to give us some kind of response. We wrote to the Australian Prime Minister. Davey did that. Wrote the Australia. He wrote to Joe, the President of the United States. We go, and obviously we got no response there, unfortunately too. We wrote to Michelle O'Neill, the Deputy Force Minister of Northern Ireland. We got no response. Obviously I wrote to the Taoiseach, the Taoiseach, and to the Minister for Education, number 40. And again, it was, I have to say, writing emails was so, again, number 40, I felt like just saying, no, just go, just leave this country, stop the pain. So I didn't put much effort into that one. I just fucked it down. I really didn't care too much if she could have redeemed herself, but anyway. But I will say this straight to the people that I wasn't, and I'm still to this day, I'm not over the Calf Day hype, and I suppose, it's still inside me, there's over the Calf Day hype, but at the same time it's extreme tiredness. It's extreme tiredness and just extreme wear out of it. It was just extremely physically and mentally tolling on me because I put literally my whole heart and soul into trying to get it. And I did, I succeeded. And it was well worth the effort and everything, don't get me wrong. But, it was just so draining. And I'll be totally honest with you. And I don't know how we're going to do next year or things like that. I don't know how I'm going to be fit to do it, to be totally honest with you. But it just kind of shows you that I'm just not as fit as I used to be. In 2020 I was able to keep up with everything and everything. I just, I fell apart, and I'll be totally honest with my editor, and many people could clarify this. I was up then 2 nights before Calvin Day. I had a radio interview to do, which was going out all over the local radio stations across the whole country. And that's obviously very, very stressful having to think what you have to say. It was very, very stressful. Especially because it's speaking for County Cavan, it was very, very worrying. I'll be totally honest. I only lay down for about 30 minutes, didn't get any sleep at all. But 30 minutes around 5:30 to probably 6 o'clock. That's all I got on Calvin Day, on the Calvin morning, I suppose you could call it. But before that, the day before that, I didn't get any sleep, and I suppose the week before that, alone, I was lucky to get probably an hour or two that whole week, to be totally honest with you. Because I was always thinking in my head, and I was thinking, how is this going to go? Because again, and I can't stress this enough, because it means so much to me, Calvin Day now. It's kind of a part of who I am. I know that I'm taking it very personal. But but I can't stress how tolling it was. And again, I can't thank people enough for the amount of support they showed on it. Because again, a lot of effort did go in, and I was very, very thankful to see people who appreciated it and really enjoyed it, and I really enjoyed it. But my God, was it very tolling, and still I feel it in my body that I'm still not over the hype and over the, because again it took an almighty amount of energy to keep pushing. Again, I was pushing literally no energy, to be totally honest. Leading up to Calvin, and just on Calvin Day on itself at 5 o'clock. That's why I didn't live stream, because I just I couldn't. I was finding it hard, and I stayed up. And again, fair play to me for this, but I stayed up until 5:30 that morning on Calvin night. Just keep retweeting things about Calvin and things like that. I stayed at my post even though it was after it. And I'm very proud of myself for doing that. And obviously I got a nice dissolve rest, and that's Sunday. Only for then I had to do 20 times things like that, but it was physically draining, I tell you that. But it was upset that the Prime Minister of Finland didn't respond. That's really the end of it. But again, I suppose it was physically very physically draining. And again, I just talk about it, but it was very physically draining. I'm sure many people did see that in me, that I was just worn to the core. That it just wasn't able to push much further. So yeah, that's again, I know I'm probably complaining of whinging or whatever, but I suppose it's a good complaint. I don't know. Take care of me. Be safe and bye.